Matt Leitz here, and if you're ready to grow that business, you are in the right place because we're going to talk about the 5 S's to scale any business. Let's get right to it. Number 1 out of the gates is having a strategic plan. And I'm not talking about some bloated, unneeded, lengthy business plan. What you need to know as a business owner is, first of all, what's the big project that we're working on right now? And what's the big project that we're working on next? And I'm not a believer in having a 12-month plan. In the end, that ends up being a lot of wasted energy. But what you do got to really do is think about your business in terms of levels. What is that big objective that we're trying to reach? You always want to have that big stretch thing of whether it's like getting your minimal viable product done or raising the capital or launching or whatever. The team and you have to have that thing that this is what we're stretching for and this is what we're running for. And the last thing I want to say about your plan is remembering that it's just as important what you do not do as what you do, right? And I just said do, I know. But realizing that especially if you're a new business owner, the last thing you want to do is waste your time and energy on things that aren't going to help you get to that next level. So the same way that you would try to conserve your money, be even more protective of your time. S number 2 is send more traffic. And here's the thing, obviously, duh, Matt. Yeah, we want to send more traffic. If you are dependent on one source of traffic or 2 sources of traffic to send to your website or your funnels, you're playing with fire. And I can tell you from experience, I've been burnt and it hurts, okay? Even real legit companies can lose a Facebook account or YouTube account or Google account. So make sure that you're always testing new channels of marketing. And when you do test new channels, you wanna start out with a small budget. You wanna just play with it enough. And you say, well, Matt, how much is a small budget? It depends on what you sell, right? If you sell a product that's $1,000, you can't spend $100 a day and go, oh man, 5 days, must be a loser. Because the reality of it is, you make a sale on the 6th day, you got a killer ROI. So depending on your budget, like if you're selling a $10 product, you should be able to, run a couple $100 on a test and get a good indicator. Next piece is when you do find that winning, whether it's a channel or a campaign or a hook or whatever, it's just knowing to run it as deep and as hard as you possibly can. One of the big mistakes that I made in my business early on is I would focus on the things that weren't going so well more than I would the things that were going well. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from a gentleman named Perry Belcher. And he said, you have to feed the stallions and starve the ponies. Meaning, if it's working, that's where your time and attention and money goes to. If it's not working, let it die. All right, S number 3 is sales optimization. And this is all about when you do have traffic coming or people coming into your store or whatever it might be, how are you gonna get every possible dollar out of them? And the first piece is to make sure that you have some sort of split test happening on your most important stuff. Now, for those people that haven't done a lot of split testing, I think I hear a lot of people going, oh, split test, just split test it, just split. You can't split test everything. And the reality of it is, unless you have a lot of traffic, it's hard to get good test results. That's what the gurus don't want to tell you, right? Is that if you don't have significant volume, like you need to have so many sales and so many clicks to even know what's going on. So you have to pick and choose what are the most important things to split test. Usually that's a landing page or a sales page or a checkout process, something along those lines. And also beyond that, you want to make sure that you extend your product and service offering. So maybe what that is it's offering some sort of upsell, to your initial product, or it's having some sort of add-on product from another company, whatever that is, but just making sure that you have more to offer beyond that initial sale. And the last thing I want to share in regards to maximizing your sales optimization is always having a real human being on the other side of your online stuff that's picking up a phone and helping follow up on sales. All right. 4th S, number 4 is systems automation. So you got the online stuff, you got the people, but you got to have the sales coming in all day long if you want to really scale and maximize. So what I recommend doing is having email autoresponders, text autoresponders, whatever, Facebook Messenger, whatever it is, making sure that you have autoresponders on all your most important sales points. So For example, you might have a standard email autoresponder when somebody comes into your world, but you also probably want to have one in a situation, for example, if you want to do shopping cart abandonment, have an autoresponder. If somebody buys a product, have an autoresponder for that. So just know that any trigger that you can, putting an automated response that has a sequential nature to it is going to help you maximize your sales. Next piece is if you don't have an automated messenger bot, you gotta get one. Obviously, the guy from botbuilders.com is going to tell you got to have a bot, but you really got to do it. Messenger gives you a whole nother angle, not only to make sales, but also generate more leads, create better support. You got to get it in place. And the last thing I want to share about systems automation is there are tons of tools that you can get in place that can help you with your marketing. So don't be afraid to invest a little bit of money into a tool that's going to, for example, automate your comments or automate this or automate that. It doesn't matter what it is. Just remember that when it comes to marketing, the more pieces that you can have working simultaneous, the better. All right, fifth and final S, which might not sound too sexy at first, but it's stats tracking, and I'm here to tell you that if you're not tracking it, then you're not going to improve it. So right out of the gates with stats, you got to figure out what's our main mechanism for tracking this stuff and reporting this stuff. That could either be a spreadsheet, maybe a Google spreadsheet, or you could use a fancy dashboard system. We've tried many of them over the years. As crazy as it sounds, what we found to work best, because it's simplest, is just having a spreadsheet that somebody updates on a regular basis. So don't be afraid to be old school. More importantly though, once you got these stats, once a week, you need to review them as a team to make sure that you're taking action on them, all right? So look at them on a regular basis. And when you're looking at your stats are either going to be one of three things. They're either going to be a good stat, a bad stat, or a non-existent stat. So what I mean by that is your sales. A good stat means it went up, right? Your cost per acquisition of a sale, you want that one to go down. That's why I say good or bad. The last one, non-existent, is very, very important because a lot of times we'll just brush off that thing that we're not doing. You need to be aware of that. If it's a 0, then you need to see it on your spreadsheet. Oh man, I got 0 sales from advertising this week. I need to really draw some attention to that. So just because it's 0 doesn't mean it's not a stat, so you cannot ignore it. So those are the 5 S's to scaling your business. Get a strategic plan, send more traffic, sales optimization, system automation, and stats tracking. Put those into business and watch the thing grow. Rock and roll. Nice going, champ, but we don't have to stop here. If you want to really be ambitious, click on one of these videos, or if you want to go the extra mile, hover over my head, click on subscribe, and then click the little bell. If you want some free goodies, go to swipemystuff.com, and I'll see you in the next training.